Hi everybody, I'm Aditya, and I'll be talking about moments, how really everything can change just like that, and how these moments, these seconds really affect the majority of our lives, and how they can really change everything, and how really like even a long period of time, like over say 50 years, can really not affect anything more than a second. But even referring to a period of 50 years, even a lifetime, can go by even in a moment, in like a blink of an eye. And really these seconds affect the long periods of time, but even these long periods of time can go by so quickly. Like at one moment you haven't even had your first breath yet, and then before you know it, you've already had your last. And I can even relate to this. As a baby, I mean, I can sort of remember certain times as used to have a little go-kart and ride around the dining table, and now it's like already 17 years, and it feels like it was just yesterday that I was in the little go-kart, doing my own little thing, and now I have to deal with statistics homework and all that. So a little story about me. I now live in South Lake, and this is our house, but it's kind of interesting how I got there. First we were living in India, then we moved to Cairo, Dubai, and now we're here. And it just seems like all these certain decisions, all these certain moments in time that have really changed everything. And had those moments not really happened, I could have been living somewhere across the world, and everything would have been totally different. So there are things that can change positively, and certain moments in time where everything changes for good. I'm not sure if everyone knows the situation in Somalia, but they have to deal with piracy. There's been no government for over 20 years, and literally it's every man for himself, and every man's got a gun. So what are you gonna do? But there's a singer that I found about, Kanan, who has lived in Somalia, and he was sort of raised there until he was about 13. And Kanan actually got the opportunity. He managed to take the last flight out of Somalia, and now he lives in Canada. And now he's a singer, and he sort of tells a story about everything that he's been through. And it's really that one moment where he got on that plane and left, where everything changed for him. There's some lyrics that I have where he was with his cousins, and a close call with a grenade, but really it was when he had to leave his cousin behind and get on that plane and leave, where everything changed for him, where everything personally for him became, all fine and good, but having to leave his cousin behind was not. So it was kind of a bittersweet kind of a moment. This is my temple in Austin, where we first got associated with it was in my freshman year. And before this, we never really were interested in religion at all or anything of the sort. But really, when we first decided to take the opportunity and visit this place, it was really just a visit, where everything sort of changed for me. That one moment where I stepped into that temple, like there was a whole different realm of possibility for me, where suddenly we were interested in the philosophy, and now it's kind of like there's like a drive for, achieving a certain goal. And that was something that was never there before for me. Landmark programs, I started to get into after my sophomore year. Sophomore year was not a very good year for me. I had not done very well academically. I moved to a different school in between and came back. And overall, it just wasn't really good for me. But when I took the Landmark course after, it really opened up a different realm of possibility for me. I was able to see things clear, literally like putting on a new pair of glasses and seeing the world in a different light. And that's really why I'm here giving this talk. I really got something out of Landmark, and had I not gotten that, I really wouldn't have taken the opportunity to give this talk and share my ideas. And of course, things can change for the bad too. I heard a song actually, and I sort of started thinking about Japanese internment camps during World War II, and how there was actually a song called Kenji, and about his grandfather who just owned a store in Los Angeles. He was just a normal guy, and then one day he read in the newspapers about the internment camps, and that's when everything changed for him, where suddenly he went from being just a normal guy to becoming, a prisoner of war. In 1947, India and Pakistan became two different separate countries, and it literally happened overnight. My grandparents actually were, part of the whole thing. They lived in Lahore, which is nowadays Pakistan, and they had to flee across the border to India, and it literally happened overnight. And in that one moment, suddenly two separate countries were formed, and many people died, and many people had to flee and literally start a new life than what they had before. September 11th, 2001, when that plane hit that building, many things suddenly changed. Instantly, 3,000 people died, and now the image of Muslims will never be the same, the image of Islam, and they'll always be discriminated as being, terrorists and such. This was, I'll have to back up for, a couple of months. One day I was driving to my drum class, and when I remember driving, and I was up at a stop sign, and I was about to turn, and the next thing I knew, I woke up in an ambulance. And I learned that I had a seizure, and suddenly, in that moment where I had it, I suddenly wasn't able to drive anymore, as there's a 6-month ban for driving. And then a couple months after, as I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and had another one. And by now I was diagnosed with epilepsy, and again the driving ban was, postponed. And this was a change for me. I suddenly had to, started having to have medicines every day, and there was, a lot of change that came upon that. Then again, 2 months later, in Austin, I was on a golf cart with my friend, and that happened as I fell out, and I had a concussion, skull fracture, and that took a while to recover. And as I'm on the powerlifting team this year, as a captain, I was really looking forward as my last year to really put my best foot forward and really do well. But concussions take a while to heal, so I really had to stop, my workouts and everything for quite a few months. So suddenly, from going from a regular sort of old guy to kind of a cripple in a sense, where not really in any physical pain, but as in the pain that I really couldn't do things that I wanted to. No driving for me really meant no independence, and of course, no powerlifting is a big deal for me, where I couldn't really participate in that for a while. So basically, things are going to happen in life. You don't know when, and you can't really control them because they're beyond your control. Whether they're good or bad, you don't know really what is going to happen. So really good things that come your way, you should really use them to your advantage. Some opportunities are hidden, but every opportunity you get, you should take it, because you don't know what positive results could come out of them. And as for bad things that happen, they've happened, so you can't really change them, and you have to accept them and move on. That's really all you can do, and you can also learn from these experiences. It is what it is. That's not going to change. So really, that's all you can do. See, life is really full of possibilities. You can really accomplish anything you really want to in life as long as you put your mind to it. But many people, when things happen to them, they sort of let it affect them for long periods of time, and they get so bogged down in that their possibilities in life really are, shattered. And really, there's always a probable outcome. Like, there's you, and then something happens, and there's you after that. So really, when something bad happens, how are you going to react to it? When something good happens, how are you going to react to it? really you should never let anything end up in a bad situation. You should really always end up either as being the same, or having it end up in a good light. And because if it ends up in a bad light, then really you're stuck and you can't really accomplish things that you really want to in life. That's that. Thank you.